Go. Hello, good evening, everybody. My name, it's Carell Burgle. Well, for the YouTube people now, if anybody's watching this on YouTube, but I am here getting ready to do a freestyle Saturday night freestyle live LinkedIn and YouTube event. YouTube's only going to my NC Web Dev channel, and sort of want to just try this out because I got a new camera. I did my Fridays live stream with my son with a camera. I did was basic, and they sent me a replacement with like I got the new eye 60 camera. Wasn't working too well. It was kept focusing and defocusing and stuff. And I was able to find a solution for that at the end, but it still had like a very big close up, and just was too big for that. I mean, even if I now, I'm not sure I can't do that because I'm the only one here. But if I could go vertical, maybe. No, while live, I can't do that either. Anyway, so I got this new camera and I want to test it out, and I was amazed because I can zoom in, zoom out while I'm doing this live. Because although the manufacturer of the camera or the seller didn't know, I can go focus, unfocus, stuff like that. I could switch to auto, it'll autofocus on 797. Let's see. I don't know what's focused. 773 is supposed to be autofocus focused. So we'll go to 773. And so I just want to test this out. And I want to also do a LinkedIn event where I just talk about anything. And, you know, wanted to see what everybody thinks of it, how it's going to work out. It's Saturday night. Everybody is probably not at home. And yeah, I'm going to watch myself here as well. No comments yet, but don't worry. You can ask me questions anytime you want to. Yeah, I'm overlit on that one a little bit. So if I go back, maybe that'll be better. I don't know. But anyway, so welcome to the Saturday night event. My camera is working fine now. I can actually even move the picture. That's why I said left and right and go back to zero. So it's pretty cool. And I downloaded this little gadget called Camooz, CAMOOZ, 7.4.2 version from some place, and it's free, but it's really great because you could operate settings, hue, sharpness, white balance, backlight. If I want to hide a little bit of the background, I could just make it darker. I think I had it like 6 or something. But yeah, this is I love it. I mean, I love it. It's a great tool, and it's gonna make my life a lot easier, and I'm gonna be happier. I'm seeing this, seeing the live subtitles there too available. So it's if you could, like, I think you could shut them off. Yep, you could just do CCs off, or you could leave them on. I'll leave them on so I can watch myself as well. Hello, Nathan Williams. My evening is going so far, and it's about to get better. Thank you for asking. And yeah, I'm here, and I said, let me talk about anything. Let's see, let's do a. My objective is to do a 2 hour show. I'll sit here for 2 hours, just talk about anything because there's a lot of stuff I can talk about. And I did leave in the comments. I said, let's talk about LinkedIn, social media. I can talk about my Facebook experiences, my web design experiences, my travel, my love for beer, which is gets me to my next point. Is it opened up a lot of doors for me, and I got into a lot of places just because I sort of know beer and understand beer, and it's my passion. And I will start off with my only one and only favorite beer, of course, yeah, Pilsner Urquell. The light is really annoying on there, but yeah, Pilsner Urquell, brewed in Pilsen, Czech Republic. It's very balanced. It's actually the original Pilsner. It's the first time they made it in Pilsen. I could talk about that story. It was in 1842, and it was a German brewmaster that came to the Bohemian lands in Czech Republic, and he basically knew how to make German beer, obviously, but the Czechs had a little different ingredients, so he had to come up with a different recipe. So the very short story of how he came out with it, it was he just had to use local recipes and local ingredients and came up with a different type of beer. I'll get to my travels in a little while. I'm just talking about actually now. My that's this Czech Republic is where I was born. I grew up in New York and New York City, Staten Island, the Forgotten Borough. And yeah, after that, went back to Czech Republic for 5 years in 1994. Stayed 5 years plus 18, so 23. Came back to the U.S. in 2017. Came back to New York. Escaped COVID into Raleigh, North Carolina, and then I'm just traveling city to city now, which is another YouTube channel I'm working on. Right now, I'm in Bloomington, Illinois, just hanging out with my son, helping him get through college and get his video editing business started. But that's my basic stuff, and I'll get into my other travels and beer travels and football slash soccer travels later on. Got plenty of time. It's 9:33 local time, 10:33 Eastern Standard Time, and right now it's time for the beer. And today in the local, ooh, it went into Zoom. Oh, it zoomed me in. Why did it zoom me in so much? I guess I hit this somehow. I don't even know if I'm zoomed in more than I was. 137, 132. I don't want to take up the entire screen. I think it was at like one. Yeah, something like this. The bed in the back. Yeah, the story of why I'm in hotel is because I just decided to live a nomad's life. I'm not the marriage type guy. I have my son, and I'm good like that. But yeah, so I went to the local Walmart. I got in Bloomington, Illinois, and I have the greeters that are there. So I got to talking to one of them, and every time I go in there now, we just have a 20-minute discussion about beer because little didn't I know this guy is a little older than me. I'm 51, going to be 52 next year, so he may be in his mid 60s, late 60s, something like that. But he was stationed in Germany, and I told him because we're just the first couple of sentences, and this is how you meet people with beer, is we're just talking, and he's like, I was like, well, this is my last turn around here, and then I'm just gonna have a beer afterwards. He's like, oh yeah, I can understand it. I just got this new thing that we have here, and I'm trying this out. I was like, I'm not much of an experimenter, and I tell him, I says, I love my only beer that I really love is Pilsner Urquell. And he goes to me, which is something that's surprising to me because it's not the world's hugest beer. It's famous, it's original Pilsner, but it's not the most famous beer. And he's like, that's my favorite beer of all. I'm like, okay, we got a live one here. So we got to talk. He says, no, I was stationed in Germany for a couple of years back in the military. And then, we love those German beers and all that, but we always went to Czech Republic and got the Pilsner there and all this. He says, that's my favorite beer. He says, I can't even buy it because if I buy it, it just disappears in a day. I mean, whatever I have at home, I'll have to drink it like that day or the next day. So he's like, I tried to limit myself on that. So we get to discussions and all this, and to make a long story short, today I was there, and we agreed that he likes more the darker beers. He loves Pilsner Urquell, but he's also a fan of darker beers, which I have it the other way around. I just love Pilsner Urquell, and then darker beers occasionally. I mean, my favorite beer is from the darker ones. The amber ones is Yingling. So, uh, yeah, just did that. And so today he says, you should try Boston Lager Boston Samuel Adams Boston winter lager. So I'm like, and he's like, no, but it's probably going to be too dark for you. And I said, nah, I like, Sam Adams is a great beer, but like, I tried one of their specials, which was the summer ale, and he's like, oh, that's a disgusting beer. I hate that too. I was like, well, nothing against fruity beers. If people like it, hey, drink it. I mean, I'm not gonna say, but it's just not for me. I think just beer should be pure. He's like, you're a purist. I know. Same for me. But he says the winter lager, it's completely different. You got to try it. So here it is. The Sam Adams Winter Lager. And it has, let me try this with the autofocus if that's going to get better. I don't know if this noise from the fan is there or not. I may shut it off, but I don't think so anyway. But let me get to this autofocus thing. Let's hit the autofocus. And then now, see, now the camera works on its own. I don't like the autofocus, but if I cover this, I may actually be seen better, but because the light is a little low for my head. But anyway, winter lager. The only problem I have with this beer is the amount of alcohol by volume, which is at 5.6. Not sure if that was there, but yeah, 5.6. So that's sort of my hang up with this beer. Is the five disappearing. So anyway, uh, 780. All right, let's do this. And so my first time live, I'm gonna try the winter lager. I got tired of drinking beer out of bottles and cans. So for the hotel room as a nomad, I have to have a glass mug. I mean, beer out of glass is just it's a whole different story. But because I don't like small beers, I got small mugs. I got this. It's got a nice head to it too. Wow. All right, that's pretty cool. And it stays. It's just staying. Let me put this on the floor here. I'm gonna fill this up first. Here we go. Pouring beer live. Oh no. It's after 10 p.m. in most places, so wow. Check this out. I gotta put the autofocus. Let's try to run with the autofocus. I mean, that's a nice beer. A little dark, yes, but it's got to have that good head. It's like a .7 liter or 24-ounce mug or something like that, 25. So, and hello to Nathan. He says I traveled to more U.S. states than Canadian provinces, and I've lived in Canada all my life. Sounds like my life. I traveled all over Europe, although I grew up in America, and then because I went back, I didn't get to see much. So that's why I said I'm going to be a nomad and see as many states as possible. So, cheers to everybody. My experiment. I don't do this often, but in America, I have to. Yeah, it's got a little bit too much caramel for my liking, but hey, I can drink it. It's not like it's anything bad in it, but some beers are just, and I don't want to badmouth brands. I mean, everybody can drink whatever they want, but it's just in private. If you want to have a conversation about what beers are disgusting, I'll do that. I'm not going to do that here. It's not the point of my live stream. So yeah, this is it's a nice beer. I do must say I am not disappointed. Let's me focus here. So this is this. So yeah, Nathan's thing is I decided to travel a lot more in the U.S. by car. So last year we took a trip with my son, city to city, which is City to City USA is the YouTube channel. You can look up some of my videos there. I'm going to be building that up more. But yeah, we took up a road trip where we went to Asheville, spent a couple of days there. And yeah, I mean, the people that got hit there, I mean, I traveled through that city and the road that they were showing on TV that just broke out. I mean, the mudslides and just the road. The problem there in that city is there's no way to go around. It's like one main road that goes on the side of a cliff, mountain, whatever. It's not a big cliff. It's just a mountain. And if that road goes, you got to go way around the mountain. So I was like, I can feel for the people in North Carolina there. I mean, literally, because I was there, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to travel as much as possible around the U.S., just so I get to know all these places. And, I know what's going on there. So now when they talk on the news, I'm like, yeah, this is where I was, and that's the hotel we stayed in, and that's and I'm like, yeah, and I know how tough it was. Even I got into like a driveway there, just going all the way downhill and coming back up. This was just because it was wet, and I got sort of stuck there almost. It was like very. Once you get off the main roads, it's like North really tough. And so that's a pretty crazy city, and yeah, the situation now is terrible. And so we went there. That was our city. It's got for me any city that's got to be anywhere. Knoxville is perfect for that. I mean, it's got a beautiful river. It's got a hockey stadium there, which my son is a hockey player, and so we always go to the arenas, look at that, and there's like a little valley that goes in and out and stuff, and so it's really cool. Knoxville is a very good flat city, and it's got the universities there too. It's kind of like Bloomington and stuff, so nice city. We went to Nashville was our next stop. Now Nashville, I was sort of disappointed by because Nashville is great. I mean for the history and all that, but the city's like very small. You know, everybody goes there for the 5 blocks, and the rest of it is just the city, just like any other. I mean, so it's like there's nothing spectacular about that. Just that the 5 block area where you have the yeah, that's probably thank you for that because that's probably because of the fan that's trying to get the noise canceling stuff. So I'm gonna shut that off. Mm. Yep. Oh, I'll shut it off for now. Yeah. Good. That should get better now. Yeah. Thanks, Nathan, for that because I wasn't sure how it's coming around, but now it should be good because it should be level and the automatic noise canceling on the phone should keep it keep it steady. So yeah. So I was disappointed with Nashville. I mean, all the buzz that goes around, and then you have like 5 blocks of 5-star hotels, museum, country bars, and all that. It's great. I mean, yeah, but stay within the 5 blocks. Rest of it is just like any other city. So yeah, COVID took care of a lot of things for everybody. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, if you want to go see the museum and stuff, it's awesome. I wasn't there, but many people say that, and I saw the downtown. So and then so we went on, and I think the next stop went from Nashville straight to St. Louis. St. Louis is a great city. I actually love it. It's it's a strange layout, but suits me just fine. Did get attacked a little bit in northern St. Louis, but was able to pull out of the parking lot and stuff because North St. Louis is an area to avoid. And and yeah, so but St. Louis is great. Just I think it's the city with the worst roads. But you see a lot of the French architecture. I mean, we saw the windmill that belongs to the Bush, the Anheuser Busch company. The founder of Budweiser beer has built a mill for himself, like a regular Dutch windmill. So that's a it's a really cool city. I mean, I like it. The airport's like on one side. It's pretty easy to get through. What's awesome is going by the St. Louis baseball field. Uh, I forget now the top of my head, but it's Bush Stadium. I think that's what it is. But anyway, that's a very. I mean, it's just a highway goes right next to it. So when we first pulled in, it was well lit because there was a game there. The next day was the Mets game there, but I kind of missed that. I was like, oh shit, it's the Mets that are. I've been to Philadelphia, Boston, Baltimore, and Buffalo to name a few. Yeah, the Northeast I got pretty well down to because that's where I grew up. So lived north of Philly actually in the Poconos. Boston I went to once. Baltimore, of course, 'cause especially with hockey, we went to Washington D.C., Baltimore, and stuff there to play the games. And then Buffalo, I only went to once on my travels to um, Niagara Falls, which to me personally was a very disappointing trip because I was like, you get to Niagara Falls and you're expecting this huge something. I mean, nature, Niagara Falls as well. The awesome waterfalls, the park, the nature and stuff, and then you pull in there and it's kind of like, hmm, okay. And right behind the waterfalls is a high-rise Bank of Canada building or something, and I'm like, the waterfalls just like in the city. It just depends on the angle of it. So they always take the angles from the other side and stuff. But I'm like, like what a jib. So I was like, yeah, that's one thing that I did. It's on my bucket list. I went there and I'm done, and I don't have to ever go again. It's back in the day in New York, I used to go up every weekend to the Twin Towers, so that holds a dear place in my heart. That the two towers to this day. And then living in New York, I never really went to the Statue of Liberty, only once. I went to Statue of Liberty to take some people there, and then it was like that line. From here, it's 6 hours. Taking the Staten Island ferry every morning, for quite regularly. You pass by the Statue of Liberty all the time. I was like, I don't have to go up there. I don't know. And when they saw the line 6 hours, they were like, no, just take us to Chinatown. I was like, smart move. But later on, when I was taking people to see Empire State Building 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I had a bar there, which is now closed, but I forget what it was called now. But it was right there, just around the corner. So I told them, I says, you guys go pay the $30. I went up to Empire State Building like twice in my life, 3 times I think. And then when I took the tourists there, I was like, you know what? You go up there, you enjoy for the $40. I'm gonna take the $40, and you're gonna find me around the corner just trying those beers. There was a rock and roll something, rattle and roll, I think, or something like that. It was called the bar. It's closed now, but that's where I waited for all my guests, tourists that went up there. I was like, no, you would have to pay for me, but if you want to pay for me, give me the $40, so I'll go have a beer. That was my strategy for Empire State Building. But I did go up there a couple of times. So there was Niagara Falls. I had to do at least once, so I did. Bucket list check. Like, nah, it's one place that I don't have to go see again. Just not my thing. So then from St. Louis, passed through Springfield. Want to spend some time there, the state capital of Illinois, Springfield. But that's an interesting city because it doesn't have a downtown area. They got the Lincoln Museum, which is supposedly great, but they don't have a downtown. It's like just buildings continue. It's like, oh, this is the downtown. I'm like, well, well, no, you just passed it. That was the downtown. I was like, I don't know. So that was a strange city. And then I hit Bloomington and Normal, which is an interesting part because I'm like, Bloomington, Normal. And I'm like, this is just Bloomington. Then like, no, it's actually two cities. Bloomington, Illinois is two cities. And it's quite a frequent thing here because you got Bloomington and Normal. You have Champaign and the other city. Then you have, and then I went up north too. When I left my son in Bloomington, I went up north. I went all the way to Milwaukee and Wisconsin, and I went through Rockford, and then that's also two cities. I forget what the other one is called, but yeah, that was another like really nice city with a nice boardwalk around a mid-sized stream river sort of thing. So I enjoyed that. Passed through El Paso, Illinois, which is that kind of like surprised me. Ohio is on my list to do, Nathan. Still haven't made it there. Michigan as well, but I want to head more west-wise. One of my future trips, I think I will do, is going up against the stream of the Missouri River. 'Cause everybody talks about Mississippi, but I don't know whoever decided that. But between Mississippi and Missouri, Missouri is the longer river, except in St. Louis, it becomes Mississippi. So Mississippi River is longer only because they didn't credit it to Missouri. I was trying to look it up once. I didn't really find it, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why they did it. If they would have kept the name Missouri and just say Mississippi is leaving, is entering that stream, Missouri would be by a lot more longer. But anyway, Mississippi won, longest river in the U.S. But going up the stream against Missouri, it's a nice drive. And it goes so far and it's so windy. It's sort of interesting. So that's for my travel stuff. I just love traveling. I like going to cities. I like watching the differences between the different cities. Like some places they call it soda, Coke, pop, just small things, little things that matter. Me being a linguist, of course, that sort of helps and entertains me to see the differences in language because, I speak Czech, Slovak, Polish, a little bit of English, and yeah, then I just, when you go to Raleigh, North Carolina, they got a different set of language language options there. And then you go to these different cities, and it's always a little bit different. It's interesting. So yeah, that's my side hobby is traveling and seeing as many cities as possible. Because back in Europe, I did a tour of Poland, pretty big, an extensive travel around Czech Republic, Slovakia, went to Croatia a lot. So quite often, I'm not saying I was there every week, but I did. We have family, friends there. Yes, Atlantic City's pretty cool. It used to be more, better, famous, more stuff, but it's still pretty cool. I mean, New Jersey, yep. But yeah, went to London. That was an interesting trip because we went there with as part of Prague fans and being a big soccer fan and traveling Europe with my team. That was an interesting experience. Took my son there. Went to the Eye of London. I think we walked like 100 miles in like 4 days because I just like to walk. And the downtown London is awesome. So we walked across everything, everywhere. Went to see the Craven's Cottage, um, Fulham Stadium. Went to Loftus Road. The Queens Park Rangers got a whole tour of that stadium. Of course, Sparta Prague played Chelsea, so we took the tour of the Chelsea of Stamford Bridge the next day after the game. So we got a lot of pictures from there and stuff. I've shown some of them in here on LinkedIn, so from the past. But yeah, travel is always good because it motivates you. It gets you a lot of experience that you would not normally get at home. You get new ideas. You have to solve things. That's the one thing, and it's I'm gonna touch up on the LinkedIn and content creation is people always say like, oh, it come up as like, start. How often should you post? Well, as often as you get ideas. So I'm like, yeah, for me, I would have to post every hour. I think I just have ideas all the time because I'm always in some new situation, some place. Traveled a lot, so I can compare with this with Portugal. Definitely go see UK and definitely London. Definitely do the downtown, Nathan. Definitely. New Zealand, Australia. It is on my list. I would love to do it, but never in my time did I have 3 to 6 months. I'm not the type of traveler that goes someplace for a week and says, "Oh, I've been there. I know it all." It's kind of like that's how I visited Portugal, uh, Lisbon. We just did 2 layovers there, and so I got like to spend the night there walking the boardwalk. So I did touch Portugal, but I did not really get to know a lot of Portugal. So if I want to go to like something like Australia and New Zealand, that's a 6 month vacation, easy. It's like my friend once in back in the '90s. He went to Africa, and he said to his wife, he says he was a photographer and a journalist, and he says, these things in Africa, I just want to see Africa. So I'll be back in a couple of weeks. So he went to South Africa, fell in love with it, and traveled from Cape Town to Cairo by the method of hitchhiking back in the '90s. And he hitchhiked his way. Well, he wasn't back in a month. Let's put it that way. He was back in a year to an empty apartment and a completed divorce. Back in the '90s when you didn't have cell phones and stuff, so he just disappeared for a year and just So that's kind of like that's much closer to my type of travel. I'm not saying that crazy because he just went just hitchhiked with everybody. He wasn't afraid. He was just taking pictures, making friends with everybody in Africa. I mean, today probably the situation would be different in certain places, but maybe back then was too. I don't know. He told me that he met all these people that crazy people, normal people, but he said I just made friends everywhere and went all over the place. So if you want to travel this far like that, like New Zealand and Australia, it's a long time. It's much easier from Canada, Nathan, to just head to the southern U.S. It's from Bloomington. I have to go back to Raleigh probably for Christmas. Maybe we'll go there, and then from Bloomington in the spring, I'll head off northwest, hit the parks and stuff, and then come back through the south. And yeah, I've been to Texas, so I love Texas. My friend lived in Galveston, so that was a spent 2 weeks there with him, maybe three even. But yeah, Galveston is a beautiful island. And the one thing about Galveston is it's not never hot there, although it's always 90. The temperature like stays the same from I think it was like March to like November. He said it's like 85 to 95 degrees is that range. But Galveston, as opposed to the inland Texas, is that there's always breeze, so it kind of makes it bearable. So then when we went to visit his friends one day to the sort of mainland off of Galveston over the bridge and like 20 miles in, 30 miles in, and you have that Texas sort of steppy style, almost desert. Damn, it was hot. I was like, holy smoke, that's hot, hot. So that was crazy. So I didn't want to do that really. It was like, I don't like Texas. I don't like Florida because of this extra hot. So I'm like, yep, never lick your fingers, but I do like that too, because like just the edge over there. That's it. Anyway, um, so Florida is went to Florida. Was in Daytona Beach for a week visiting my friend back in the '90s, and I'm like, that's like too hot. That's just too hot. I'm like, what's the point of living in a hot state or in nice weather when you can't really even go out and you have to be in AC constantly? I'm like, might as well move up a couple of miles. That's how I ended up in Raleigh anyway, because I didn't want to go all the way south, and Raleigh's kind of like, in between state. It's pretty warm, but not too hot. The humidity kind of kills it, but yeah, you could actually be live outside. Whereas to me in Florida, can't live outside. And I was young, and I was like, I still minded. I was like, I want to see how these old people, retirees, make it there because it's just crazy out. But yeah, they have the AC, but at that point is like, why? As a recommendation, if you may. Never did make it to Canada, but once I get my Northwest, West, and South US, I may make it there before I go to Mongolia, which is my next stop. I said, I don't know. I've been to all over Europe. I've never been to Asia. May want to live in Mongolia for a couple of years. Heard that's pretty nice there because it's kind of like Colorado. It's kind of like in a basin, sort of between like huge mountains, a lot bigger than Colorado, a lot bigger area. But I'm like, it may be pretty cool. But that's down the road. But yeah, with the ideas, I'm like, I just never run out of ideas because as I'm talking here, I didn't prepare anything. I thought about it, whether I want to do this or not. Unless I know I was going to talk about beer. I know I was going to have some chips, and I know I was going to talk about LinkedIn, which I'm going to get into now. It's only been a half hour. It was a 34 minutes live stream. Haven't really talked about LinkedIn much yet, but it's Saturday night. Heck with it. Just talk about anything. Ask me anything, and chill. As long as there's beer, life's good. He was just to say, how you doing? He says, well, you know, life is life, but I still like to taste the beer, so that means I'm okay. I'll be all right. Because once you lose the taste for beer, you may have problems. So, like, I mean, problems with health wise and stuff because you see your condition is deteriorating. But as long as you're happy and you can have a couple of beers and just enjoy the day or night, whatever, it's all good. But yeah, so traveling, and then I said I was going to get into LinkedIn a little bit. So have you ever, ah, did I ever write? It's on my bucket list. It's on my bucket list to write, and I will write something. I did start a story, but an AD&D story, but I never finished it. Never had, got into business and stuff. But I do have plenty of ideas, so I come up with stuff. Just I look at a lamp, and I come up with a story about a lamp. So that's why I like marketing so much, because people come to me and say, "Hey, we need to market this," and I'm like, "Oh shit, yeah, that's a new one. I gotta see what I can come up with here, what kind of a solution, whatever, and what's the biggest take." And playing with the language is always fun. So I'm like, yeah, sure. Let's look at it. Let's find something unique about it, and let's write about it and talk about it and get some ideas. That's how I got the. I own like 25 different domain names right now, all projects that are in the works that are. Yeah, eventually I'll get to them. So I just own the domain name, and one of them is No News to Us. That was started back in COVID because I just want to have like a fact-based news. And I have Optimadium, which is sort of a optimadium.org, which is a sort of a um, sort of conservative, non-political, not non-party affiliated view of politics. And I don't want to talk about politics here, but yeah, it's just yeah, I just don't like to play politics and stuff, and I just think people should just do what they feel like and should not be censored and should not be to an extent. I mean, there's always limits to everything, but yeah. So I just said, let's just look at the facts. Like an interesting fact I was just talking about today with my son. We had a discussion, and again, here I go with ideas. I go into another tangent, but we were talking about this book called Flatlands because he was asking about dimensions. We were talking about UFOs, how now it's in the news a little bit what a UFO is, and I said they're calling it extra dimensional. And I explained to him what extra dimensional means, and I says, you got to read the book Flatlands by Abbott Abbott. And then we got into, you know, just how it was back then, and I said he got these crazy ideas, this guy, but because he was probably on cocaine. And then he looked it up, and he looked up what I told him, and he says, yeah, it was basically the whole world, especially the upper classes, were basically hooked on cocaine nonstop from the 1870 to 1890. You could look it up; it's a fact. It was a thing. It was like today you're drinking beer. Back then, everybody was doing cocaine. So they were high on cocaine, coming up with all these crazy ideas. Until somebody else comes along and says, "Well, this is a bad idea," and all this. And then yeah, I mean, it's probably left a lot of people sick and whatever. But the fact is it was basically once upon a time a common drug, and just used as medication, prescription to clean your nose and whatever else. But do people really go back and look it up? Well, I do, but always fact check, always do this. So that was kind of like Optimania was like writing opinions about how you when you compare to history. I mean, I'll say one political fact. It was the news was feeding us lately about how Biden and Trump were the oldest candidates for president ever. No, the oldest candidate was actually 5 years older, and it was in the 1876 election. He only got 2% of the vote or something like that because he was a physicist and an engineer and an inventor, but he was like 85 when he got on the ticket, and for a third party, it was so it was the Republicans, the Democrats, and him. So people tell you, oh, this is the oldest candidates. No, no, they were number two and three, but again, all you got to do is look at history and compare. So that's that was my thing for Optimadium anyway. Then I got a whole big project called tigbet.com, which is a base sports betting advice site. I've been running that one since 2013. Last couple of years, I really slowed it down there. But I did build a 10,000 member group around that project on Facebook in Czech Republic. So I managed to grow that. I took over the group from a friend of mine when he had 2,000 members. When he had 2,000 members, and today the group is like 9,700. and I don't go there anymore. I mean, I do sometimes just to filter things out, but kind of died off with my efforts. I mean, everybody just started doing something else. But being a big sports fan, you know, I'm not. You know, um, I faced a lot of issues with that project as well, and that's where my experience on social media comes from. And so I was sort of not. I wasn't sure about doing this tonight. I don't know if I'd be shut off soon or something for saying or drinking or something. I don't know, but anyway, so my experience is pretty extensive. I mean, we started building websites back in 2006 with my friends, and it was for my projects, for my translation agency. Then it was for tickbet.com. We operated, and still operating. Yeah, still own the website. So domain's probably got to be pretty valuable. I don't know. It's probably a couple of $1,000s. But because I didn't develop it, if I developed it, probably would have been a lot more. But that was other things. That was other problems with the project because it was a competition thing. And, somebody beat me to the idea a little bit, and I had the better idea, the better everything, but he screwed it up because he screwed a lot of people over. So my project kind of went dead. But I still keep it going. Anyway, so that's about TickBet ideas. And then during COVID, I had nothing better to do, like everybody else, sitting home doing nothing. And so I started I didn't start, I just started being active on Instagram. And so I learned how to do Instagram, built it up to like 1,500, 2,000, it's like 1,500 followers at the best. Had a couple hundred likes and some comments on my posts regularly. And then I was like, I started getting offers of, oh, we'll send you a free pair of sunglasses when you come, when you put them on and whatever. I guess I want to promote it on my thing because once you get over 1,000 on 1,000 followers or connections on anything, you become a nano influencer. So that's what I always want to do. I do have over 1,000 people. This channel in my Czech Republic connection, Facebook, and Instagram. I built to about 1,500, and I had people all around the world there connecting with me. So I did that, but there was no monetization to it. So I was like, not really gonna make money with this, and I'm not doing this for a couple of free T-shirts and sunglasses, hats, or whatever it may be. So I departed from that, and I started NC Web Dev with my team in Czech Republic, uh, which I talk to, I stay in touch with all the time. And despite me leaving here, and this was like 2017, I left Czech Republic in 2019. No, 2021. Now we said, let me just start dabbling with this. I mean, I have plenty of other things to do with my son's hockey and stuff at the time. I was like, let's start an NC Web Dev and let's just do web development because we're pretty good at it. We've been doing it for 10 years and let's start offering it to people. So that's how that project came along. NC Web Dev was born. And then I was like, well, how do I market it? Because I went to New York, and then I went to North Carolina. In North Carolina, I knew nobody. So I was like, well, I don't have any connections here. So I got to find them. I got to make them. So where do I make connections in North Carolina? Well, of course, bar. I know a couple of bartenders and made them friends. But you're not really going to get, you're not going to sell websites for, thousands of dollars going to bars having beers with people. I mean, that's just one aspect of building relationships, but it's not a sales point. So I was like, let me just do a business thing, business networking, business focused networking. So started going to offline events, in-person events, which during COVID was of course hard, but I did find a couple of BNIs. So was not accepted to those. As I said, I was successfully declined from them for being a New Yorker rally, I think. But anyway, and my lively approach to things in life. And so I did those, and I'm like, but the problem with selling digital marketing services to people who do networking in person is really not a good idea because they don't understand. That's why they're still doing this. in person. So I again talked to my team, Czech Republic, and he says, I've always been a big Facebook guy, but since COVID and since the time, I was like, I toned it down a lot. And I used to get blocked a lot, so I know what it feels like. I got like 10 blocks for nothing at one point. It was really ridiculous. But but yeah, so that was Facebook, and then I dropped that. And I tried to do Instagram. I did a whole year of my son's season on Instagram, and then they just blocked his account. I think we were reported by some. My philosophy is that his account got deleted because one of the parents was jealous of me doing so much for him. And, so I was like, okay, well, so they got reported that I used some things. I wrote an email to Facebook and, Meta at the time, I think it was Facebook, and I never got a reply. I mean, it only had like a couple hundred followers. But it had his whole hockey season, his highlights and stuff. And I guess somebody didn't want him to look good on the social media. So it got reported for violating some rules and laws. And because it was all recorded by me, it was recorded by his, you know, in the arenas, and it had some probably background music or something. So that sort of passed that report. And the only way you're gonna get really blocked for this kind of stuff is, or maybe it was just bots that did that too, because they had a pretty bad episode. And I think looking back at it now, I think probably could be reclaimed. But anyway, so that was the Instagram. It's deleted now, but I did a lot of the video and editing, and I mean, recorded. I have every single one of his games recorded. We did the whole season with Junior Hurricanes, so that's how I work with camera. I love recording and taking pictures, post stuff. But yeah, then I talked to my team. He says you should try LinkedIn. And I'm like, I have a LinkedIn account. I have like 100 followers on it, connections, and I've had it since 2010. And I'm like, I'm not looking for a job, so I don't need LinkedIn. And my team was like, no, 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 wait a second, wait a second. And this is 2022, I think. He says, no, no, this LinkedIn is different. And so I get on LinkedIn and I'm like, okay, so what do I do? So they told me, like, oh, you got to do this, 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 and this strategies. Of course, they were sort of BS because they were inauthentic. It was just a regular marketing guy trying to just herd people and sell. And I'm like, I just want to do this authentic stuff. I don't want to be bound by some rules and then just talk to strangers that I've never known and sell them some expensive stuff and then just forget about them. And I want to build relationships. I want to build a network. I was always a networker in person back in the '90s and stuff. We had big networking events, and I knew everybody in Prague, and so everybody knew me, and that's the way it worked. And I recommended people, and it's just natural way of life. You just you know people, they're reliable, so you recommend them to other people. So that's the way kind of I always wanted to do LinkedIn, but they said no, you got to send on these connection requests and all this, and I started creating stuff, and then I posted, and I got no replies on my posts. I got no engagement, and then it was like took a break again because my son started getting ready for school, and last summer we did the road trip, so I was like I took a little break from LinkedIn. I mean I stayed with it, but I said I have to change my strategy. So I started following a lot of the big followers, a lot of the big followers, a lot of the big, you know, influencers. I hate to say the word influencers because there's no such thing as an influencer on LinkedIn. But anyway, so I started following them. I read a lot of the strategy and stuff, and I says, okay. So because I tried to make connections with the people that I made the connections with just by blindly sending out the requests, and I said no, nobody's replying back to me because they're really not using, because LinkedIn, the percentage of usage and posting people being active, LinkedIn is the most passive social media platform. Like only 1% of LinkedIn users actually post something at least once a month. So, so it's very low, this percentage. And that was my problem because I said, I'm trying to get to I'm trying to get to people that are actually active and communicating so they can engage on my posts, I'll engage on theirs. Then I looked at my network, I clicked through my connections, and I was like, most of them did not post anything in the last year. I was like, no wonder that nobody's liking my posts. So then I stopped sending out these requests and I said, okay, where am I going to find stuff? And I started looking through the ones that actually do have the post in my feed. And then I went to the comments on those posts, and those people that comment on there are more likely to get to have to be active, to again, to be posting and to be part of that 1% of active users. So LinkedIn has 1 billion users, 300 million, like close to like 870 or 900 something million. Then 370, 320, something like that. Under 400 are actually like somewhat active. So you're basically looking for like 1%. So you're looking for the what, 3-4 million, which is still a huge number, but it's only like 3 or 4 million people that are actually posting stuff on LinkedIn. Maybe it's 8 million, I don't know, but still it's pretty small because it's 80 million, 8 million. Yeah, that's what it is. It's 1%. So you're looking at these small numbers, and so those are the people you got to look for. Yeah, you'll get the incidental ones that don't really post, but it's just passively reading because they do show up. They'll just look up your stuff, whatever. So when they look, and they use it as a resource for CVs. You know, so looking for employers, headhunters, recruiters, stuff like that. I think it's time for a refill. So I'm gonna take a break here. I'll go to a 30-second break. Let's do that. Let's try how this works because I know there is a add a scene, and we'll do a 30-second countdown for collecting new beers. See you in 30 seconds. With an empty mug, but I'll have to fix that. So there's 2 more seconds to pull out 2 beers, and that's gonna be good to go. Wow. Wonderful. So then my next idea for getting to the active people was what I just said is that I commented, started connecting with these people, and it started getting a little better. And because the first year, 2022, I posted on my NC Web Dev page, not on my personal, and that was a mistake as well. But you learn, you learn as you go. Now, supposedly, business pages are better, have better engagement, are being pushed more by LinkedIn. But anyway, I put out a lot of content, and I got no replies, no engagement. So now in 2023, the end of the year, started posting, started connecting with people that were more active. So we started doing sort of the quiet exchanges, the passive pod, nothing active about it. We didn't make an agreement. We didn't say, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to post." I never fall for that. I don't go for that. Oh, I'm going to post at 11 o'clock a.m. and everybody jump on at 11 and just like my post. Uh, well, that's a nice one. Just notice that. Yes, it says cheers. Wonderful. Anyway, so cheers. And put my second beer in there. And then so in the fall of 2023, I got up to like 15, 1700 connections. And I started talking to people, communicating. And that's when we started doing some stuff and and it finally sort of took off. And then I discovered something called the Social Saturdays. So I was like, you know what? I can connect with a lot of people. I don't have to send out these blind connections to people I don't know. I could just use Social Saturday. And Social Saturday is a place that you may not get the best connections, but those people showed up for Social Saturday. That means they're active. That means they liking things. So you have a lot better chance of getting a reaction from them. So and Social Saturday has met a bunch of good people from all across the globe, by the way. Something I noticed yesterday that kind of annoyed me, a push for this diversity stuff. And I'm like, no, it's just so I don't care where people are from. If they're not active, if they're not in my target group and stuff, it's not about geolocation. It's about what do you bring into my network? And there's a lot of people that just use AI and stuff. They don't bring anything. And I'm like, they're like, no, well, just because they're from this country or that country, you don't like them. I'm like, they didn't tell me that personally, but generally, it was, to me, it's a dumb post. But I said, it's by choice. It's not about. So I met a lot of people at this LinkedIn, and one of the people was Nicodemus from Africa, and we did a whole webinar together afterwards. And so, so I started meeting these active people, and then I don't care. I'll do a webinar with anybody as long as we got something to talk about, something to say, and it's a benefit for my network, and I can benefit from his network, and we expand our reach. Hey, it's business. There's no discrimination in business. You're talking about success, money, moving forward, improving, self development, self improvement. Why discriminate? You have to be stupid, literally. And so, cheers. So, Social Saturday moved me a lot, and I grew. Now I got over 3,000. Not an expert. I'm not an expert. I'm not the biggest creator on LinkedIn by far, but I think I am an expert because all my life I've been an analyst, going back to sports betting. So I analyze the algorithms. In the meantime, in between all that, while on the road and stuff, I helped my son launch his YouTube channel by, of course, showing my face. Many of you heard that story a couple of weeks ago when I had him on. And yeah, so I was busy with that. That was the summer basically. Did the traveling, I did the YouTube channel. I studied the algorithm a lot. And then I realized studying the creators on LinkedIn as well, big ones, small ones, whatever. A lot of them are just copy pasting advice and just following it blindly. And it works to an extent. It's not that it doesn't work. But it's like I tested it from my analytical point of view, and I'm like, you're giving recipes that are really not scientific, and like nobody really knows how the algorithm works. I'm not gonna tell you. The only thing that I know about the algorithm on LinkedIn and any other social platform is it just wants to increase screen time. Whether you're gonna post at 6 p.m., whether you're gonna post at 8 a.m., whether you're gonna comment before, after, 3 hours after, 2 hours before. Some people make it a voodoo ceremony, which I guess is more about self discipline. It helps them be more disciplined. But found out that if I comment 6 hours later, I get the same impressions. It's really no big difference. It's more about the topic. I think on the one of the biggest posts I had because it was like a LinkedIn boost a couple of weeks ago. I think everybody got that. Most people listening, whatever, got that boost, and it was like crazy because I didn't post anything, I didn't comment, and I got like 6,000 views just on that one post over a period of 2 days. And I think it was LinkedIn's way of like kind of trying to sucker people in to create more. And yeah, look, we can show your stuff. And so over a couple of days, they split up people into groups. But uh, but yeah, I commented 6 hours later, and the algorithm picked it up and showed it to people. I got the same results. And some posts that didn't even get engagement because it was a topic that they liked. It was about OCD, which I'm a proud bearer of OCD, besides polio. But yeah, I've been known to walk out of restaurants and straighten out their chairs because they're not fairly straight. So me and my son have that. My son takes after me in that. And I got let go of out of New York life because the first time I went to the office of my supervisor, I looked at the back wall and I'm like, I don't think I could ever work here. I was like the first week because I was like, she had like all these plaques, whatever, all crooked. I can't deal with that. He had like 25, 30 different, probably 50 different plaques and, whatever else. But I'm like, no, I can't deal with this. I was like, I'm like, no, it's got to be a straight line. If you're gonna make a wall of fame, let's not make it a wall of shame. I can't deal with crooked stuff. It just annoys me. I couldn't work there. I couldn't go to her office. So we saw each other like 3 times in 3 months, and then I was just like, no, I'm not doing this. There was other reasons too, but this was one of the ones that I did not become popular at New York Life. She was about making the 6, 7 figures, and I'm like, but your pictures are crooked. I don't think she cared, but I do. So that's about the OCD. But anyway, that post got a lot of, I think it got over 2,000 or 1,500 impressions. And I didn't even engage, and nobody engaged on it. Just LinkedIn just wanted to run it because it was a topic that it liked and they wanted to push on people to have them read it. Or maybe people did read it and they did spend a lot of time on it, did not like it or dislike it or comment, so did not engage, but spent a lot of time. But LinkedIn doesn't tell you this information. And so because it doesn't, it is. I kind of don't like the statistics, the analytics on LinkedIn because I'm like, you're only giving me half the information. You're not giving me everything. So it's kind of like, why don't you just open up? Because on YouTube you get to see how long people saw your stuff, your videos. LinkedIn started doing that now, of course, with the videos because they give you the total time, watched. But they don't do that with the written post. So you don't know if the person spent 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 5 seconds. So it's kind of tough to, so that's, I think, that's one thing that I don't like about, that's my hang up with LinkedIn, sort of. That's my beef. I'm like, you should really open up more of your stats to your creators, motivate them more. It's not just about like, oh, give them money like YouTube is giving them money, but that's a whole other thing about YouTube is no, not a single person on YouTube. That's something I did a math on that, and I'm like, not a single person on YouTube is making money. YouTube knows this, and I'm like, yep, not a single person is making money on YouTube. And I'm going to say this again: not a single, I want to specify, not a single person on YouTube is making money through profit sharing, through ads revenue. Because what you got to do I'll explain this very, very simply. Is what you got to do to build a YouTube channel to 1,000 followers. Unless you're extremely lucky, you got to put in a lot of effort, and to get the whatever amount of views and public views and shorts views you got to do, and you got to have to comply with that, is going to cost you in time and resources way more than you'll ever make on YouTube. I mean, people say, "Oh, but Mr. Beast or the other big creators," no, no, they don't make money on YouTube. YouTube is great and the same thing with LinkedIn, by the way, is great for showing who you are and what you can do. But you make the money elsewhere, not on YouTube. YouTube is great. The revenue share is great because, hey, have you know why not have part of your cost covered? But it's not a profit. It's just covering, let's say, 30, 40, 50, 60% of your cost. Because if you're going to have a team of people working on your stuff, you got to buy cameras, you got to buy lighting, you got to spend the time, you got to have a team of people that are creating this. I mean, Mr. B says what, 7, 8, 9, 10 people creating, maybe more, depending on what part, but just the YouTube channel. Those people get paid. They want money. There's no way YouTube is covering that. I mean, in his case, maybe they have a different contract and he gets more sponsorship money, but again, that's not from the revenue. So, yeah, so you use social media to put your brand down to show what you're doing. And my son just learned that too. I told him, I said, you're not doing a YouTube to make money. The profit sharing is not your goal. Your goal on YouTube is to show what you can do, to show your ability. And he just now, this week, finally realized it after a year of me telling him, and he made his first sale. Yay! 19 years old, he's making his first sale. So, so I mean, that's what social media is about, and YouTube gives you a lot of information to work with, whereas LinkedIn really doesn't. I mean, you just kind of walking blind through the algorithm, trying to do the analytics. I know Freya, my friend there, another one from South Africa. She takes this data and she creates uh, these reports, and I'm sure they work, and I'm sure she's spot on in a lot of it. It's just the data that comes out is not so much in depth. I mean, if she, for example, used YouTube's data, she got a lot more better results and everything else. It's not that she doesn't get the results. It's just that, you know, you're using basic data and that's what you're going to get, basic information. But anyway, that's my thing with LinkedIn. Is I think they should improve their outreach to the creators and provide them with better data, somewhat along the side of YouTube. And it's not about the money. Again, like I said, it's not about the YouTube pays revenue share. I just I just saw that's my next platform based on my one of my favorite creators, Luke. Is I says, all right, let me try to start dabbling with Twitter. He says a lot more engagement, a lot more stuff, new platform, revamped platform. Of course, Twitter is Twitter, but it's revamped. There's a lot of different stuff. And I just saw a post there. Somebody says, yeah, I got my first revenue check, February 23 to I forget whether it was June, July, something in the summer or something. So it was like a year and change. She said, I got $10 in revenue share. And I'm like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. They'll give you some money. And especially when you have only like 3,000 people, it's not even worth it. So, but again, on YouTube to get 100,000 followers and to do this, unless you're really going to be either making sort of a TikTokish, foolish videos. Like I tell my son, I says, you want to get more followers, you got to start dancing in the videos. And he's like, no, I don't want to dance. I'm never going to do dancing. I was like, no, the time will come when you'll do dancing. So, like, no, I'm not doing dancing. Like, no, you are doing dancing. Eventually. But, um, but yeah, so, then I did the first season of NC Web Dev webinars. I did the second season of NC Web Dev webinars, and this right now we're running the third season. It's part of the third season. Anyway, yesterday we did a couple of episodes with my son, and I'm going to be looking for more people to do stuff with. And next week I'm going to be doing my own stuff. I'm going to be showing how I create, how I come up with ideas, and how I expand on those ideas, and what I do. And I try to keep it simple. I don't try to use 1 million tools, and I don't have the time. I have too much stuff to do. Life's too short to be studying 100 million different AI inventions. Because every day I see, oh, well, this is this new AI stuff that's going to do everything for you. It's a groundbreaking, disruptive AI that does 80% of the work for you. I'm like, I'm happy with A, B, C, D, and I'm good. Because I use something for carousels. I do the Bing image generator. I'll use Gemini. I'll switch it up. I'll do something here, something there. My son uses the Adobe Premiere, and we're fine. We're good. And I mean, that's all you need. You just need to stay basic, and because never expect any AI or robot to do human work. And if you do, you're going to look like that robot, and robots generally look pretty dumb. I think we're still pretty far away from having neural networks that will operate much like the human brain and will generally replace it. I think one of the basic things in the basic difference between the neural and computer networks and humans and why it cannot be replaced one for the other. And, humans need robots and robots need humans because humans are computers. Robots are computers, except humans are chemical based computers. Robots are electrical powered computers. And so, can you electronically really supplement the chemical decision making process? I don't think so. Maybe you can simulate it with zeros and ones and whatever else, but eventually somewhere down the line. But I think we're still far away from that. And if ever, because I'm just thinking like unless you're gonna start making the uh, you're gonna have to have the new computing. And thank you, Freya showed up. Yes, exactly. You're and again you would be a lot better. You would do a lot better if you got more detailed data. And like we're gonna have to talk about that one time, Freya. But you're gonna I'll provide you the YouTube data, and we can sit down on that and do a session on that, just me and you. And you're gonna be quite excited about that when you see the YouTube data that we get on these things. But uh, what was I was with the computing? I forget now. You got the computers, and you got the you know the more powerful computers that you're gonna get, the closer you're gonna get to chemical, but they're still only in electronic. They're still electric. So if you're going to use electric tech and you're going to try to simulate chemical processes, it's just going to be different. It's just very difficult. Not that you can't ever find a bridge, and I'm always based science based stuff. So like, and I don't ever think we're going to hit any kind of a ceiling. Like, oh, this is the limit that as far as we can go. I think we're always going to be pushing the our knowledge and our expertise and our So it's like in programming. Like that's why I can't work with every programmer. I have to I turned on something here. I think it turned on by itself. Is the automatic focus. Lose this, lose this. For some reason, the camera likes this stuff and then just starts going back and forth. Here, I'm back, and the camera went into a motion mode, and I'm not zoom out completely. Anyway, we'll see what it is. I'm watching it. We'll see what it goes. How do you? No, the camera took over. Let's see. Let me unsaved settings in my control box. Now the camera can do whatever it wants. I'm going to restart my Camus. Okay. Okay. What happened here? Stop it, camera. AI camera, stop it. As I'm talking about AI and how it will never be working the same, it will replace the AI started working like, oh, yes, we have to follow him. Ah, how do you stop that? It's so annoying. Leave the studio and come back and stuff. I just. Okay. How do you get the camera to go into the follow mode? camera now is gonna follow me everything I do. Anyway, I'm not gonna end this session, but every movement now the camera goes wherever my head goes, and I'm like, I could try to unplug it and plug it back in and see what happens. Okay, I'm back, and okay, it's unavailable at this time, so we're gonna go back to Camus. Well, it's not following me anymore, so that got the job done. Like I said, part of this is testing the new camera that I have now, and because I unplugged it, plugged it back in, and the stream is still running. That's a good thing. We have two cameras, you can do that. I think this is about the level where we're at before. Okay, and yeah, we can do the zoom. That's fine. So we got rid of that auto follow thing. I'm gonna switch this to 60 hertz as well. I don't know if that works. If that's gonna do anything, but yeah. Anyway, was it the zoom thing? Yeah, we can have it go as big as this, and then go back out. Anyway, so yeah, I think the computing is, um, the humans will never be replaced. AI is always going to be a tool. It's going to be a great tool. I just don't think it's going to be replaced with humans and vice versa. I mean, we all have our thing that we're experts at, and that's what it comes down to. But yeah, when I go and create, and I just come up with stuff, and next Friday I want to get into that. I already made a banner. I'm going to send out invitations and whatever else. So I don't want to get into creating today, but testing the new camera and testing this system, and a long live stream, hour and 17 minutes we're up to now, and we have a couple of people showed up. Now we have four live viewers at one time. Wow, I'm pretty proud of myself. I could get a couple of thousand and stuff, and that'd be nice, but hey, that's down the road. But I'll go back to the building of LinkedIn, and have another sip of beer. But yeah, in this year, as I started with Social Saturdays, I started engaging, met a bunch of people. I love talking to people and make new connections, like Freya and Dayan and Jamie J and Nicodemus and a bunch of other people. So I'm saying hi to everybody, sending hellos. And yeah, I mean, it's the part of the LinkedIn family. But what I decided this year was to sort of up the game a little bit. And I don't know whether I can probably tape something. Let me see how this lighting would work if I put this tissue here. Nah, it's still pretty bright. We'll have to cover it like this probably. It would be a little better. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so met a bunch of people. Enjoy that. Enjoy the relationships. And I said, I see all these people growing LinkedIn. One of the goals for this year for me for LinkedIn was to build my following to 10,000 connections. But then I quickly realized one thing, and that is that if I build to 10,000 connections, so what? What is that for? What is that useful for? For nothing. You just have vanity metrics. You have 10,000 connections and nothing. So then early January, February, I started getting into like, you know what? Maybe I'll start getting on Zooms with them. So I made it my point for this year to meet with as many people as I can in my connections. And the one thing I hate is pitch slapping people, getting pitch slapped. I don't like it. You engage with me, I engage with you. Don't use AI in engagement. Write with your own words, like the comments and whatever else. I can tell the difference. And you know, natural comments. Things like your post really shows your deep level of knowledge of your insights. How do you say we resolve this thing? No, I don't like that, and I try not to comment on it. Comment is a comment, so I'll give a lot of people a pass, but it doesn't entice me. What I do is I like to engage with people, and I like to send them a get to know link to Zoom where we just talk. Like I'm talking here with beer, we just talk on Zoom just to get to know each other. Talk about politics, talk about sports, talk about beer, talk about business, talk about get to know each other's business generally so that we know what's going on. But but again, it's just you know just connecting. And I'm like, people are like, oh, I built my following to 20,000 people in a month. I'm like, and how many meetings did you get out of that? 20,000 people, 1 month, 7 days, 24 hours a day. How many meetings did you really have? So it's like, what the hell is the like if you like I was just commenting today, if you're selling trinkets for $1, you may be doing good. $1, $5, people buy it from you. You don't care who buys $1 item. But if you try to sell value, a long-term relationship, and a business proposition, and a website for $5,000 to $10,000, you want to get to know a little bit about that person. You want to know what he's about, what he's going to run with your money, whether that company's going to still be here in a couple of months or whatever. So that's why these Zoom meetings are important. So now on LinkedIn, I just network and I take it into Zooms. And I try to have at least one a day. Sometimes I have more, but one a day is about what I can do. I got to take a potty break. And so I'm going to do it. And we're back. That was a quick one, but that's all you need. Just 1 minute, 1 minute and 10 seconds, maybe. So, yeah, building 10,000 a month. Yeah, you do a little song and a dance. You post some BS about cats and dogs and, oh, cute puppies. I think South Park did an episode on that. Was dogs that like to smile or make dog puppy faces or something. And, they were making these news of South Park elementary news. And this guy, the guy was just like, oh, puppies with smiling faces or with bags in their head or something. I don't know what it was. But yeah, that's a way to grow. It caught more attention than serious stuff. But in the long run, you're on LinkedIn to make money. And so, again, unless you're selling $1 or two items or $5 items, go for the relationships. It's a lot better. So I connect, I go on Zoom, Now I got into a networking group, the Good Business Karma Network. So we meet every Monday. If you don't show up, it's no big deal. It's not like BNI. So you show up every Monday. You meet some new people. That's how I connect with the people. Because at least at that business networking group, I know that, again, the people showed up to do business. So they may not be the right partners for me, but it's like one guy says to me there, he says, really, the people here don't have the money for your product. And so what is your point of coming here? I said, oh, just the networking, just the referrals, just. And with one other guy, we agreed this week. He said, it's probably like a Monday relaxation. Just talk to business-minded people, talk about some fun stuff, free, loose, let go, don't stress, don't worry about it. I hate when, we got zoomed in again. It's funny how this does that, but oh. Here we go. We're zoomed out again. Cameras are funny. And I think it's just like when I move the mouse, somehow it's like a mouse gesture or something. It just zooms me back in. Woo! I think you got to move across like a certain part of the screen. I probably have to study more about the manual of the camera. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah. So I said, I'm not looking to sell anything to anybody here in the business network. But if they buy from me, great. They did buy from my son, but I'm like, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking to make relationships. I'm looking to establish myself as a person, as a human being. And hey, if I make business, great. If not, go refer partners. We could be referral partners. I could give people commission based on referrals if they want to, or I could just refer people back to them. They can refer people back to me. No big deal. That's what business is supposed to be. I, for example, never understand even contracts. I mean, I give somebody my word, and it's more than anything you can put on a piece of paper. Like my lawyer in Czech Republic, he always used to say, he says, you could put anything on paper. Doesn't mean diddly squat. Just means that it's on paper. That's it. It's kind of like, hey, we're going to do this, and this. No, but if I say I'm going to do that in my translation, that's how I built my translation business. People called me when they needed shit done, and said, okay, I got 60. Normal translator will do 10 with a max of 20 pages a day, standardized pages, which is 60 characters per 30 lines, which is 1,800 characters, or you could say 300 words. 300 words is about one standardized page in English. Czech, it's maybe a little bit different, but anyway, you talk about that. So it's a certain volume of characters. And every translator will do about 10 standardized pages a day. That's about the work limit, because mentally you have to take breaks and stuff like that. Now I'm not gonna get involved in the technical stuff of working with text, which I've done a lot of. I mean, I had a keyboard that I said, I write about 1,800 characters per standardized page. So I was like, I hit the keyboard about 60,000 times every day. And I've had this metallic keyboard for like 2-3 years. So you do the math, and it's still holding well. He says, we should use you as a product tester. I was like, yeah, but I just like the keyboard. Can I get another copy? Can I get a couple of versions of it, because it's the best keyboard I ever had? But it's like, oh yeah, we'll look into it. We still have some in stock or whatever else. But anyway, so the pages you could do like 10 pages is a standard, 20 pages is max in a couple of hours, because one page takes you about a half an hour to write, but you got to also read it over, and you got to wait a little bit. You got to get a little time span between that. And this zooming shit. Stop zooming. I'm going to lock this in. Let's see what happens. Okay, so they're locked in now. And if you zoom in again, people called me up and said, I have 20 pages by tomorrow. I'm like, okay, that's 10 hours of straight typing. And you have to look it over, read it over, stuff like that. I was like, yeah, I could do that. But the record was actually 50 pages. And they said, we need it by the morning. So it was like So it's 25 hours, and a lot of it was text and some numbers. So you just had to like kind of transcribe the or transpose, scan, and insert the tables and stuff. So I did that, and but it was calculus 50 pages, but it was actually like 30 something pages of written text. So it's 15 hours worth of work, and it was like 12 o'clock one day, So I just didn't sleep all night, and I got the job done. No contracts, no nothing, because I said I was going to get it done by 8 a.m. So I did, and they got their stuff. That's how business works. You don't need a contract. Just make sure your word is worth what you're saying and doing. I mean, whatever you promise, you deliver on. And that can only work when you have a relationship. And then people call me because they says, yeah, he'll get the shit done by when we need it. He's going to be on time, and he tells us. And if that means he doesn't sleep for 2 days, he'll get it done. And people were sending me big projects for like 2,000 pages in 1 month or something like that. And it was like, yeah. And I got a couple of translators helping me out on some of them. And I was like, yeah, that's beyond what you can do, because, it's 300, 500 pages you could do in 1 month, maybe even 1,000. Once you get into over 1,000, it's going to be like in 1 month. You're really pushing it. But that's the way it works. And that's the relationships you got to build. And so now getting into the websites and stuff, it's the same thing. I got to build the relationships first. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm here for now. That's why I'm talking for an hour and 31 minutes now. And I said I was going to give myself 2 hours. So I still got 30 minutes to cover of BSing or something. I don't know. But people are showing up. I actually started off with 1, 2, and I got 7 live viewers. It's telling me. So I'm doing good. If I keep it for 6 hours, I may get up to 50 or 60. Oh, somebody dropped out. It just went down to 6. As soon as I called out this number 7, they dropped out. Darn it. That's life. I don't even know how many viewers I got on YouTube. Let me check on that. Let me check if anybody's on YouTube, actually. I don't know if they're going to show it to me on YouTube or not. But I guess I might have to look something else. On something else. I have to log into a different account. Do I want to do that, really? Yeah, I may want to do that. Hold on a second. Let me get into here. Accounts are on the bottom here. Switch account. Go to NC Web Dev. And it should tell me I'm live. Try it for free. No, thank you. Money buys Friedman. I want it. By Luke Matthews. Your videos. Do I have a live video here? No. Should be going here. No. Oh. Playlist private. Watch later. Let me switch accounts again. Go to my private. I'm going to go into subscriptions. And we may just be live on LinkedIn, which, no, it's actually red. So I think, yep, it is there. But it's just not showing me the viewers there. But anyway, yeah. I see myself there, but I see 0 viewers there. But anyway, on ncwebdev.com, NCWebDev YouTube channel, I just shut off LinkedIn. Damn. Got my monitoring phone on this one. Let's see. Here it is. Back to 7 here. Wow. But anyway, I have the NCWebDev YouTube channel, and that one is right now at 15 followers and stuff. But hey, follow me, support my efforts. You'll be greatly rewarded because of my analytics and because of my analytical nature and because of the data I've been collecting. I've decided to sort of let's pan left to right. Let's put me in the center. Because I have this here. Let me shut off the chat. All right, now we're good. But yeah, I decided to start a sort of a LinkedIn course. I'm still I hate doing the courses because most people will just do it, pay for it, and then think that just because they paid for it, it's good. But I don't care about the money. I care about the value it brings. So I have to come up with a good structure and to get people to share all this experience I'm talking about now on LinkedIn. Because, like I said, people are taken for a ride a lot. There's only very, 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 very few people that are honest in what they're doing on LinkedIn. And tell you all these strategies, but at the end of the day, it's only a pod. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, many people charge. Oh yeah, we'll supercharge your growth. All you got to do is give us $200 a month, and you'll be part of a mastermind special secret group that will explode your growth. No, I don't think so. You'll feel like it because you'll see the vanity metrics go up, but whether you're making 3,000, whether you have 3,000 connections or 50,000 connections, it doesn't matter. LinkedIn is a connecting, networking platform, but connecting with people is not enough. You have to get to know them on a personal level. So it's about matter of how many people do you know personally from your 5,000, 10,000 connections. And I'm working through my list right now. So when I do want to get to know as many people as possible. Some of them will be impossible to get to know for one reason or for another. And it may not be a negative reason. It just may be because they're too busy to just, they keep up their LinkedIn just to stay in touch, but they're not interested or don't have the time available to meet with people in person. So I'm okay with that. Then there's people that are literally just use it just to harvest numbers and, sell email lists and say, oh, we got inbound leads. Get these offers all the time. I'm like, if you have inbound leads, just send them to me. I'm not going to pay you your subscription, but you send me the leads and I'll pay you a commission on closed business. Well, no, we charge for the leads. I don't give a damn about leads. I care about business. So if you got leads that are going to turn into business, I'll pay you a commission gladly. But I'm not going to pay you for leads or for being part of a mastermind group. I can start my own tomorrow. Why should I pay you for leads? With 3,000 people in connections, I don't need to pay for leads. Why? What's the point? And anything beyond that, it just keeps growing anyway. So it's kind of like, what's the point? And people are like, oh no, well, we could do this, do that. So I'm going to try to make a course about how to not get scammed on LinkedIn, how, what to watch out for. And pods are illegal. Just trying to take a beer. I guess, telling you, I get ideas all the time. That's going down nice on a Saturday night. But yeah, so that's the kind of course. I mean, how to set up your profile. So you get a lot of that stuff. It's going to be part of it as well because I discovered what works and what doesn't work. And, I can still see some people selling stuff that's kind of like ChatGPT copy paste. First you have to set some goals. Then you make a list. Then you have to get to know your audience. And you have to make an attractive offer. Yeah, so every single LLM will spit out that information today. So why should I worry about it? Well, why should I pay you money to give me the information I can get anywhere else for free from the LLM that are available? Which I think they're not going to be available for free for that much longer, but that's another topic of conversation. But I just think that you should be able to grow your own LinkedIn and you should be able to create the meaningful connections, not connections. 'Cause it doesn't matter if you have 3 or 10,000. It matters of how many people you know, how many people trust you, how many people will send you their money and know they will get value and know that they will get their ROI. We're having issues loading this event. Try again. What happened to my event? Is that over? Yeah. Ooh, no. We're still streaming. Why is it not? We're having issues loading this event, and I'm trying to talk, but I switched with this anyway. I'll keep this going because my timer says it's still good. So maybe they banned me on. Maybe I got banned on LinkedIn. I don't know. Maybe I need to restart my phone. Let's try to do that. That's interesting. If I'll go into LinkedIn feed on my profile, let's see what happens. Am I live on my own profile? Yes, I am. I can still see myself, but why is my phone not liking this one? Cancel. Okay, close everything. Because I use my phone as a monitor to sort of see what to see what here, force stop LinkedIn to see what's going on, just to see the comments and stuff like that. So I track my stuff on there, and let's see, 19% storage, app store details, remove permissions. Okay, so the glitch in the app, I guess. Yeah, I could see that. Anyway, so I shut that off, and on a different channel, it's still running. So if I look here, it's 142. Yeah, 143. So I'm only a couple of seconds behind on there, but it's still running. Anyway, so where did I stop? I stopped at. I lost my track. Anyway, that means it's time for a timeout again because we're on empty. Time for a third duo of beers. Ding, ding, and we get a 1 minute break for a refill. We'll be right back after these messages. We don't have them yet, but when we find the sponsors, we will have messages. Yeah, a little beer tip of the day is you pick up a fresh bottle, so it's all good. Again, 5.6% alcohol. They're not coming down that fast, so we're doing okay. And one thing is, between beers, when you finish a glass, you always want to wash it because the foam is a lot nicer in a fresh beer mug. So let's go. If you're gonna pour beer into a dirty mug, the foam is just gonna not really stick, and it's just gonna disappear quickly. But if you want a thick head, like this one just after first beer, I had to go to the bathroom and whoa, and had to freshen up. But this is nice and cold now, so the foam is not that thick, so we can just pour it straight. And there you go. First was a little warmer, so but anyway, still we have a nice mug of beer. Around 3 hour and 46 minutes we're up to now. Ah. Like my old friends from New York said about their uncles and stuff, I already said, never trust a man that doesn't drink. Think about that. Fact of the matter is, people that are, unless it's for health reasons, there's exceptions to every rule. But generally, people that are afraid of alcohol have things to hide. Unless they're recovering alcoholic, of course, and they can't touch alcohol because they've had too much and stuff. But generally speaking, people says, "Well, what are you, a recovering alcoholic?" No, I just don't like the taste and stuff and blah blah. That means, you probably got some big skeletons in your closet, and so it's going to be hard for us to do business. But anyway, talking about building the relationships and stuff. So that's how you do it. That's how you build relationships. It's kind of what I'm doing here as well. I'm just trying to show my true self. It's just that's me. That's my human side. I mean, I write stuff and I look professional, but then when push comes to shove, we're all just humans. And LinkedIn is a great platform for many things. And the biggest difference what I enjoyed about LinkedIn, still to this day, is it's generally positive. There's a very little negativity. And number two is in Facebook, I used to get banned all the time. And I used to get you get swamped by these bots, and it's kind of like, oh no, you said this and you said that, and they start doing personal attacks and stuff. And I'll have a discussion with anybody, and it's not about political opinions. It's not about, but you got to bring in your rationale. You got to stay reasonable, and you got to give me an argument that's supported by some kind of logic. And I'll always try to understand it. I could say you're wrong, but I'll try to understand where you're coming from, as long as you give me a lead of where you're coming from, really. It's just, I mean, I just had a discussion with a very negative person on LinkedIn as well, not so long ago. Again, I'm not going to name any names, but he's like, well, you always got to find the opposing view. You got to be negative. He didn't say negative. He used some different word. But anyway, I was like, being always in opposition will only get you that far. He's like, well, you picked that word I was talking about. I was like, no, you're just proving it to me again. You're just opposing to me. You just like to take the other's stance, no matter what it is. You just need to be in opposition. You need to contradict people. I'm like, it's not really the greatest way to go, man. I mean, you should just You should just chill and just sometimes agree with people, or just for the sake of agreeing, even. But a lot of times the other people may be right because they have a different perspective. So, and that's a very important part too when you're talking and stuff to people. It's kind of like I know I'm right almost all the time. True. However, that's because of my oh yeah, my son just jumped on too. It's polarizing. Yeah, that's the word he used. He says you always got to be polarizing. I'm like, no, you don't have to be polarizing. You could just not agree. And like I said, I'm almost always right, and my son is learning that slowly, little by little. So hello, Carell the Fourth. But uh, but the fact is the perspective of me being right may be different from the opposite side, and it's kind of like your upbringing will make you right, and I'm going to be wrong. Not because it's globally wrong, because I'm going to be globally right because I just use the common sense and strategic and just logical thinking to get to a conclusion. But because you were brought up in a different environment, not good, not bad, but just different, then your perspective of things could be different, which does not make you wrong and doesn't make me wrong. We can both be right. We just got to find that middle ground and understand it. And maybe you'll come to my side, maybe you won't. But it's just that's communication. It doesn't have to be polarizing, and that's the one thing. That's a big difference between between Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is going to be more positive, more supportive, more creative, because constructive criticism is always welcomed. I always welcome it. If you can justify the criticism you give me, great. If you're just going to tell me, well, no, you're wrong because I think you're wrong. You know, this the especially during COVID, this was the big thing, the thinkology. I think I'm right, therefore it's a fact of life. No, it's not about your thinking. Just tell me your side of the story, tell me your perspective, and I'll try my best to accept it. And if I will tell you you're still wrong, probably going to be wrong, but I'll try to see it your way and I'll tell you, okay, I understand why you think this is the right way. And when you get more information, you'll probably find out differently, but that's okay. That doesn't have to be, and that's Facebook. Facebook will just, you're wrong, and they'll just start beating you down. And I'll get all my 50 friends to comment negative stuff on you. And I'm like, I don't need this stuff. Trust me, building the group of 10,000 people, especially in betting industry, has really thickened my skin on what how to take serious how seriously I should take any kind of comments and discussions on online, because face to face 90% of people will not tell you anything, but when they're on Facebook or any social media they'll be like, oh yeah, SOB. Oh, that's not the thing. I mean, and that's not the way it works. But yeah, the so that was starting on LinkedIn was very relaxing for me. Coming from Facebook and then Instagram. Instagram is generally positive too, because what are you going to argue about? Like, oh yeah, it's a beautiful steak, and I have a. If you look at my, it's K Mergel, KMERGL 111 is my account, and I have generally food and beer on there, and then my son in between that, Sparta Prague. But if you look at it, it's kind of like, what are you going to argue about? That's a disgusting steak. Whatever. If you say that, and I know you're just full of S shit, but hey, But the thing is yeah, it's LinkedIn is a fresher breath air, a breath of fresh. Okay, I already got a couple of beers. A breath of fresh air, because it's kind of like everybody's positive, everybody's more into it, and everybody's more supportive. And when the criticism comes, generally it's the constructive kind, and I can handle it. I welcome it. I welcome the constructive criticism because it helps us all grow. The discussion. That's the one thing, again, going back to COVID, is the COVID era, is the denial and the opposition to any kind of constructive discussion. Not about who's right. I don't care who was right, who was this. I mean, I know, and that's a different story. But why not even have a scientific discussion about it, sort of? Because And this is I have a very good friend of mine. He's got a PhD in science and biology, I think biochemistry or something. He works at the Czech Technical University. He does some research for that and stuff. And that's a background story again from hockey, because we were one of the crazy hockey parents that thought that they had a Wayne Gretzky at home and they'll do anything to just get him into the NHL because that's the next Gretzky. And he says, this is the coach that's the best for our team, because just look how much our team improved this year under this coach. And this professor, PhD from science, physics, biology, he told him, he said, I know our guys improved. I can see the improvement. Our whole team improved this season, very much so. This was like fourth, fifth grade. And it's like, the improvement is great. But how do you know it's the coach? How do you know it's not just natural growth? Because you don't have a control group. Like, you don't have another team that would just tell you, well, these guys had a different coach, so they didn't grow as much. And that's the productive discussion. That's when you get with these, hockey dads and hockey moms that they don't see beyond their son and stuff. It's kind of like that discussion is pointless at that point, because if you don't have that control group, you could say all the crap you want. You could trash talk all you want about everybody. Oh, yeah, they'll improve because we got the greatest coach. And I paid him $10,000 extra. So look how much of a better skater my son is because we paid that money. But then hits the age of 18 and you realize in hockey, especially, like, everybody skates the same, no matter how much the money. The only thing that the hockey, in the hockey world, when the parents spend so much money for extra skating hours and stuff, they just speed up the natural process. So then at the age of 10, their kids look like they're better. But by 18, everybody's the same. It doesn't matter who was paying what at the age of 8. So, and that's because you're missing that control group. And it's the same thing. It's like you just got to have a control group. So you got to have these scientific discussions. And I could be wrong about a lot of things. I mean, I'm usually not, because I take the scientific approach. But if somebody else comes in with a different result, taking the same approach, or scientific approach anyway, and just trying a little different method, I'll accept it, because he'll come in and he'll justify it. He'll just say, oh yeah, because I did this. This goes back to LinkedIn and the post, but people say, you got to warm up the algorithm. Okay, so I got 400 impressions this day because I did 3 hours of commenting before the post, or 30 minutes before and 60 minutes after, because that's what you're supposed to do according to these experts, voodoo experts. But, and I got, that day, for example, I tried this method and I got, let's say, 300 impressions. And then I did another week, not just one day, I did a week of posts where I just posted at 11 p.m. and commented at 8 a.m., which is 9 hours later. I didn't touch Facebook. I just let it go overnight in my time zone, because I could get into the explanation of time zones, but it's just to be too lengthy. So I'm not going to get into that. But basically, there's a LinkedIn clock that starts at, I forget what it is, Central Time, but right now it's at 6 p.m. Central Time. So 6 p.m. Central Time, which is whatever it is UTC now. But UTC time, I think, is like 1 a.m. or something, or midnight. I think it's midnight UTC, because Czech Republic then is at 1 a.m. So I think it's UTC midnight. And that's the time you post. So if I post at 6 p.m. Central Time in the U.S., I have a whole 24. My post has whole 24-hour cycle to get that many impressions in that day. If I post at 10 or 11 p.m., which is 4 or 5 hours, it only has 20 hours left. But still, these people will tell you that I just need one person. Not, hope you don't start following me. No, thank you. But these people will tell you, well, to get the most impressions, you're going to skyrocket your impressions and growth if you do half hour of warm up, then you post, then you do a half hour after that. And it's kind of like, but I posted at 11 p.m. my time, did my, whatever you're saying the voodoo to do is, I did that 9 hours later, and I still got 300 impressions. Or I got 250, or I got 310 or something. But I did it for a week. And that warm up and before and after posting time made no difference. So it's kind of like, what are you talking about? The engagement is important on LinkedIn. You have to engage. And again, it used to be easier to get the organic growth. Now it's more like you have to do 3 to 4 hours of engagement a day soon enough because everybody, because again, going back to algorithm, they want you to do, 24/7 on the platform. That's ideal, but not for us, but for the algorithm. But yeah, you just spend the time, you put it into engagement at your choosing, at your ideal time, whatever you have time off. You spend that on on LinkedIn to get that engagement, and that engagement will get you the same amount of impressions, no matter what time it is. It could be 3 hours before, it could be 3 hours after. As long as you engage, you'll get your impressions. Because where do they come from? They come from the fact that people will see you commenting on this, and their people will see they commenting on yours and stuff like that. That's how you spread the reach. That's how it works on Instagram. That's how it works on Facebook. That's how it works on YouTube. So it's kind of like, come on. Oh, we're back to moving with the camera. So again, I'm gonna blink off and blink on. And we're back, connected, well and done. We're still moving around. Come on. I don't know. The device does not exist. Yes. So this thing, the Camus will have to grab it again. I don't know. Mm. This camera just likes to follow me around. Anyway, it's been 2 hours, so I don't know how to stop this. So anyway, we'll keep this going. That's like really weird. I gotta learn how to stop that 4K AI stuff. Couldn't care less about the AI. But hey, at least you get to see me this way. Well, I don't know. Ooh, to the left and to the right, and the camera moves around. Would have been nice in hockey when the camera follows the puck, but I have no clue what the hell this is going on. We're down to 4 viewers after 2 hours again. Was up to seven at best. Now back down to two, four, two. I don't know. But anyway, don't fall for the voodoo stuff. That's all I can say. And unsafe settings, exit. Okay. Voodoo. No clue. Oh. How do we stop this? Keep zooming in and zooming out. And if I do the Camus now, it doesn't allow me to do anything. Yeah, it just does what it wants. So now we're just gonna have to live with a moving camera. Okay, no problem. Well, but it's gonna be coming to an end anyway because it's over 2 hours now, and I think I've covered a lot of stuff. It's 11:33 p.m. So yeah, everybody's got a plan. Like Mike Tyson always says, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. So when push comes to shove, everybody will tell you their greatest plan in their life, and they will tell you, "Oh, this is what really works." And there could also, I mean, LinkedIn sometimes does where they experiment when they give like 50% of LinkedIn users one version of the algorithm, and the other 50 they'll give another version. They just won't tell you which version is what because it's kind of their social experiments. But but yeah, so it's just funny because you know, all these people come up with all these statistics on LinkedIn. This is video is now 1.4% increase, so 1.4 like 40%, like a 1.4 multiple for these types of posts, 1.3 for these, 129, 120. Like, what are you basing these numbers for? I'm just like I want to see the source data here, man. Yeah, it's like, no, we come up with these special social stuff. By the way, it's the same thing in SEO. Read a lot about SEO and I followed it for the last decade or so, just for the fun of it, because I just had fun with it with my projects like TakeBet and Translation Agency, etc. And the funny part about that was SEO is, for example, backlinks don't work anymore. Backlinks have not been working for the last 10 years in SEO. Yet there are huge $1 million companies that are basing their product on creating backlinks. And they don't matter anymore. Not this year, 10 years now. So, in order to find out if backlinks are working or not, you have to build the same websites, use the same channels, and the only difference between, let's say, 50 factors would be backlinks and no backlinks. But if you're using the same strategies and the only difference is backlinks and no backlinks, then you would know it's the backlinks that made the difference. But since people are like, well, we'll show you these backlinks, and you buy the backlinks, you will keep doing your stuff the way you're doing it. How do you know that without the backlinks, it wouldn't take off at the same time? Or a little different, but similar. It's kind of like, that's scientific. It's just, you have to have the control group. If you don't have it, yeah, see, our method works. How do you know it didn't? How do you know it wouldn't have worked without you? Show me the proof. And that's case studies, and people just don't have basic general knowledge of that. And oh yeah, we sold you 1 million backlinks, and I'm telling you, that's the difference. It could be domain age, it could be a couple of posts that you made, it could be a no social media channel that you created, just one channel that can drive your traffic. It could be a lot of things. So, but no, we sold you the backlinks. I think backlinks are the biggest lie in SEO ever, like now for the last 10 years. And not that Google is the most truthful company, but they will tell you it's like, no, it's not even top 10 factors, which means it's still a factor. It's just not a top 10 factor. So top 10 factor is user experience in web design. It's user experience. It's the way you approach your customers. It's how fast it loads, the technical aspect of it. I just did a post about it yesterday. It's technical. It's content strategies. You could write a great post that could hit it off. But as long as somebody's sending you backlinks, says, "See, it took a while, but now it's finally paying off." The backlinks. Give me more money for the backlinks. Yeah, but I posted this thing and it had 600 views. Well, no, it's the backlinks that did it. Of course, he's trying to sell you more backlinks. Don't buy backlinks. They don't work. But hey, at the end of the day, again, do what you believe is doing the best for you. And if you're making the money, if you're getting the results, that is working. Then don't worry about it. But the science says backlinks don't work. But who cares about science when you have results? And that's how a lot of decisions are made today, is based on opinions and it's not facts. So, anyway, let's talk about my favorite country in Europe outside of Czech Republic. Let's talk about, at the end of the day, Croatia. While I'm moving around in the room, because I love Croatia and Slovenia too. Hello, good morning to Dejan. But yeah, me and my son slept over in Ljubljana just one time. But pass by there all the time when going to Croatia. And I'm the guy that always pushes the limits. And I'm not going to get into deep depth in my scuba diving adventures, but we went pretty deep. But in Croatia, it was all good and fun. And scuba diving is one of the activities that when you put into a stressful situation, you'll get to find out what everybody's made of. Because in scuba diving, every single one of your mistakes can result in death. So scuba diving is fun, but you got to know what you're doing. Because every mistake can just be death. And death is not fun. So, going into Croatia, we did Zadar, my close family friends are in the Otok Pug, the island of Pug, where they make their own Parmesan cheese, which is, of course, not Parmesan because Parmesan is only one, and it comes from Italy. But they make pashkisir, which is goat cheese, extra dried. You put it on pizza just as much. I love just cutting it up and eating it raw. And you go there, you go to Croatia. People on the islands live their own simple lives where they have their sheep, have their farms, have their boats to throw out the mrija, get the riblia, and be happy. Go to the Trgovina and sell that stuff. And I love Croatia because of it's got a similar climate to the eastern coast of the United States. The ocean, the Adriatic Sea, there is amazing, and to me, the entire Yugoslavia is very similar in that. So, just for me, it was Croatia because one of my best friends back in Czech Republic, he grew up in Zagreb. His father was from Zagreb, so we sort of had a very close relationship with that. And he introduced me to Croatia a lot. So Wow, this is interesting. Uh, I don't know, Zoom, not Zoom, whatever. But anyway, so that's Croatia. Croatia is my sort of a second motherland in Europe. And another 1 minute. I used to do 30 seconds. I realized 30 seconds is a little too little. I'm going to do a 1 minute potty break. Going back to video. And it's zooming in and out, and it's not doing a good job. Uh, so, we got 5 live viewers right now. Is my son still around? Hit me up in the comments. Let me know. But it's coming up on midnight, and I did my Croatian promo already. So I never did go to Ireland, for example. So I'm gonna be interested in maybe hitting up Ireland sometime soon. I'm invited to go to Ljubljana. I'm not sure if I want to go. I mean, Europe is great. America is greater. That's all I can say. No, I mean, traveling so much, it's just, it's interesting. And I'm not well domesticated, so I don't have a home, and I'm just fine living out of hotels because I can just get mad at anybody tomorrow and I just go to another hotel. If I don't like what you're doing, I'll just move on. I don't need anybody. And yeah, I mean, I'm known to even have paid customers that I told them to like keep your money. I don't want to work for you anymore because money is not what I'm in. I want to get paid for when I do something, but I want to get paid for results and for something that means something to you and will move you forward and we get some results. But if you're, if the customer just thinks that they're going to pay me and they're going to tell me what to do, it's kind of like, no, you're paying me because I know what I'm doing. And I'm not just going to go through the motions if I don't agree with you. That's why I never was employed, for example, because I'm like, you can pay me all the money you want, but if I don't agree with what you're doing, you could keep all the money you want because I'm just not going to do it. And I told people, I says, I'm not going to do this anymore. It's about paying your money. I'm like, well, keep your money, and I'm not continuing this because I don't agree with this, whether it's politically, whether it's morally, whether it's results wise and stuff. I pick my clients. I only work with people I agree with, and not just I agree with a lot of people. Like I say again, I don't have any specific opinion, or I'm not going to say I hold all values of the Democrats true and dear, and I don't hold all the values of Republicans true and dear. I just you tell me like, listen, I want you to get this stuff done, and I want to get this much and this much. And these are the goals I want to achieve. I select the path. And if you tell me I have the wrong path, well, then take your money back and you go do it yourself. Because I'm not listening to you if you're paying me, and I'm not just, there's a lot of people that think that they understand everything, and it's kind of like, I have the money, so I understand it. I'm like, no, you have the money, but that doesn't mean you understand it. And if you want to be running this project, then hire me, and here's your money back. That's it. So I'm very principled in this. And yeah, people were surprised that I was like, yeah, take your money. I don't care. So, and then they come back usually like, oh, yeah, no, you were right. And all that. I'm like, I know. I just know. But money's not the deciding factor. So, not for me. You don't convince me to do. Again, I'm not going to be jumping a rope and then jumping on one leg and barking and doing whatever just because you pay me. If it's going to get us to the goal we agree on, yeah, sure, I'll do a lot of things. I'll bend over a lot of ways, but if I don't agree that's the right path to take, there's not enough money you have in the world that just it's called pride, I guess. And pride is expensive, and it's just me. So, cheers to that. Always stay independent. Yep, there's still five people live. So, so that's my take on money and doing the work, getting the results. I usually only care about the results, not people's feelings or anything like that. So that's where it is. What are we at? What are we at on the clock? On a shot video clock? We're at 2:22. Wow, I said I was going to only do 2 hours, and it's 2:22, and I'm still here. And four people are still left here with me. The one thing I don't like, and it's not about just LinkedIn or the or YouTube. It's just there's four people. I don't know if this is the same four people or if three people just sign off right now and five people sign on, and we'll just be again back to like six people and then to four people. I don't know who the people are, so maybe it's maybe just two people leave and three people come, then three people leave, two people come. But I guess I'll know at the end of the day because I know LinkedIn will tell you how many total peak viewers you had. But I still think that's just peak viewers. I don't think that's I don't think that's specific to like the names. I think it's just peak viewers. It's still generic. If it be the same or different, it will just be seven. The number was peak viewers at one time was seven. Whether they kept coming in and out, and at peak they all met there when it was at that number seven. Could be that, could be this. Who knows? But 2:23:28 is the stream time. Yeah, I think that's pretty much does it for my Saturday night event. If you have any suggestions for beers I should try out next time, this one I must say to my friend Steven at Walmart in Bloomington, agree to there. If he ever sees this, I may show him the link. Boston Lager Winter Mix. Let me see what the name is again. Winter Lager. Did not disappoint. Did not disappoint. It's a good beer. Even at 5.6% alcohol, it's good beer. Pilsner account's got 4.4. I got the bottles right here, empty ones. But yeah, 4.4% alcohol is a lot better because you could just goes down a lot smoother and stuff, and you don't feel the buzz that fast. For some people, it may be a good thing. For some people, it may be a bad thing. But generally, we all like the lower alcohol percentage beers. I think there's, what do you call? There's a steel something, $1.25 for like a 24-ounce beer, and it's got like 7% alcohol. I'm like, yeah, you're drinking that stuff. It's gonna get you. It's like a cheap buzz, like really quickly.
So you might want to stay away from that. But I could talk about beers and stuff, but we could do another whole beer show of, like, for example, uh, I'll end on this note. Why are all the Mexican beers so good? Like Modelo and Dos Equis, my two of my really favorite substitutes for Pilsner Cal. Why are they so good? Well, again, you go into the history, you read about it, and you find out that in history, back in the early 1900s, 1910s, there was a huge migration of I think it was they call I forget now what they call it on Wikipedia. I'm not gonna look it up, but it's Germans or Bohemians, which were Germans. So it was like a lot of German people were coming here, but it was Bohemia. It was basically Czechs. It was because Pilsen was again part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and so it was a lot of Germanic influence there. But it was a lot of Bohemians that came and Germans. They actually, I think they said Germans, and I was like, well, they were not really Germans. They were Germans from the Bohemian side, and they built all those breweries. So the Mexican beer is so good because they they got the Czech influence in there. And again, it comes back to the pilsners and lagers, and there's a lot of Czech influence in Mexican beers. That's why they're so good. And Boston Lager is an American beer, and it's I think the regular lager is, of course, again influenced by the filtered Czech beer, but their other mixes are pretty good. And Yingling is the oldest American brewery, and it's a very good beer. It's cheap and it's very good. It's just solid beer. And yeah, that's the portfolio of beers. I mean, I'll never say no. I'll never say no to Blackthorn cider, for example, because that's an awesome, refreshing drink. Generally, it's again called lager and beer and stuff, but it's not because it's just apple based. It's not hops and it's not barley. It's just apples. But if it's the extra dry stuff like Blackthorn, it's really good. It's a good substitute for beer. I usually don't say I'm going for a beer, but I'll have. So we're in London. I made a whole pyramid. There's a picture on Facebook. I think they did like a whole pyramid, like 12 of them, like five, four, three, two, one. I think that's what I did in one night while my son went to sleep. I got to refresh myself at night, so I did that. So yeah, I'm a pretty good I'm pretty good at what I do. When I drink the stuff that I know and I know why it's good. And when I do my social media, I do it the right way because I analyze it. So and there's a difference between Corona and Modelo because Corona is not really a beer. It's got that beer flavor to it, but it's not really a beer. Modelo is a beer. Dos Equis is a beer. A lot of Irish beers and red ales and stuff, but just IPA, for example, I never understand that. This is what I'm going to end on. And 2.5 hours on IPAs. People are like, oh, I'm going to go for a beer. Oh, I'm going to have an IPA. I'm like, IPA, Indian Pale Ale. Where the heck is the beer in that? Indian Pale Ale. It's not a beer. It's an ale. And it's pale ale. So, yes, it's light, but it's not a beer. It's an ale. Ale is a completely different drink. And same goes for Guinness. Guinness is not a beer, it's a stout. And etc. etc. So when you're talking about beers, you're talking about German beers and you're talking about Czech beers. And you're talking about lagers and pilsners. And you're talking about amber beers. But they're all hops and barley based stuff. But stout is just different. Pale ale is different. So it's all a beer. Like cider is a beer as well. It's a lager, but they call it that colloquially. But it's apples. It's an apple flavored drink. Sure, it's fermented. It's got alcohol, but it's got nothing to do with beer. It's good. It's great. I love drinking it. It's just please don't call it beer. It's kind of like my take on that. And it's 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and 6 seconds. So whoever lasted with me and listened to all my BS and stuff, and maybe you got some advice. You heard some of my stories, and I keep building it, and I keep meeting with people, and yeah, I'm gonna be going on X, and I started the YouTube channel, and I gotta come up with some ideas for YouTube because I have a lot of ideas for LinkedIn style videos, which will work on LinkedIn, but they don't work on YouTube. So I gotta come up with topics and twists a little bit different. So to interest the wider audience that YouTube has to offer. Because yeah, for exposure and for stuff, you do want to have YouTube as part of your marketing portfolio. Because YouTube is the number two search engine in the world. Just doesn't they don't separate the statistics out enough to actually have YouTube registered or keep it statistically as a search engine. So they kind of either combine it or they even leave YouTube out of the search engines because whatever goes on in Google goes on at Google. So Google is number one by far. Number two is YouTube, and it doesn't get included into the top overall Google statistics, but it's also not included in the search engine statistics because it's really not a search engine. But more searches happen on YouTube than they do on Bing, for example. So it is the number two search engine. So if you want to be counted, you want to be part of the game on digital marketing, and you want to play the SEO game, be found and be helpful to people and stuff, and definitely use Google. So YouTube, because YouTube is a huge platform. And we did the Friday webinar on that, and it's killing everything else. It's taking a big leap forward, and so there's nothing that's going to catch up to YouTube anytime soon. Anyway, it's been great. It's midnight. Wow, I made it all the way to midnight Central Time. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me blabber for 2.5 hours, whoever lasted that long. And maybe we'll do another one next week, next Saturday. I'll pick a different beer to try out. Have a good night.